Notice of PRIA or AIA status. The present application, filed on or after March 16, 2013, is being examined under the first inventor to file provisions of the AIA. Response to arguments. Applicants' arguments filed August 30, 2023 have been fully considered, but they are not persuasive. The substitute abstract and specification filed on August 30, 2023 are objected to and have not been entered for the reasons discussed below in the detailed action. New grounds of rejection under 35 U.S.C. 112 have been raised to the claims for the reasons discussed below in the detailed action. New grounds of rejection under 35 U.S.C. 101 have been raised to the claims for the reasons discussed below in the detailed action. New grounds of rejection under 35 U.S.C. 103 have been raised to the claims for the reasons discussed below in the detailed action. Detailed action. Specification. A substitute specification must not contain new matter. The substitute specification must be submitted with markings showing all the changes relative to the immediate prior version of the specification of record. The text of any added subject matter must be shown by underlining the added text. The text of any deleted matter must be shown by strike-through except that double brackets placed before and after the deleted characters may be used to show deletion of 5 or fewer consecutive characters. The text of any deleted subject matter must be shown by being placed within double brackets if strike-through cannot be easily perceived. An accompanying clean version, without markings, and a statement that the substitute specification contains no new matter must also be supplied. Numbering the paragraphs of the specification of record is not considered a change that must be shown. The abstract of the disclosure filed August 30, 2023 is objected to because the entirety of the abstract recites subject matter unsupported by the original specification filed March 3, 2022 as the original specification filed March 3, 2022 fails to recite any disclosures concerning additive manufacturing and iterative manufacturing of three-dimensional golden rhombi. Applicant is required to cancel the new matter in the reply to this office action. Correction is required. See MPP Section 608.01. B. The amendment to the specification filed August 30, 2023 is objected to under 35 U.S.C. 132. A. Because it introduces new matter into the disclosure. 35 U.S.C. 132. A. States that no amendment shall introduce new matter into the disclosure of the invention. The added material which is not supported by the original disclosure is as follows. The entirety of the specification filed August 30, 2023 is unsupported by the original specification filed March 3, 2022 as the original specification filed March 3, 2022 fails to recite any disclosures concerning additive manufacturing with respect to an anchoring three-dimensional golden rhombus. Applicant is required to cancel the new matter in the reply to this office action. Claim objection. Claims 2 to 4 are objected to because of the following informalities. For Claim 2, examiner believes this claim should be amended in the following manner. A method for creating complex structures using additive manufacturing comprises A. Providing a 3D jar, landscape consisting of three-dimensional golden rhombus, 3D jar. B. Selecting and anchoring 3D jar within the 3D jar landscape. C. Interacting an additional 3D jar to the anchoring 3D jar, wherein the additional 3D jar interacts with the anchoring 3D jar. E. D. Iteratively manufacturing structures through the addition of 3D jar to 3D jar neighborhoods within the 3D jar landscape. For Claim 3, examiner believes the dependency and this claim should be amended in the following manner. The method of claim 1, 2, wherein the positioning and orientation of the additional 3D jar S relative to the anchoring 3D jar follow mathematical principles within the 3D jar landscape, resulting in known and unique neighborhoods. For the purposes of the prior art rejection below, examiner hereby treats Claim 3 as depending from Claim 2. For Claim 4, this claim is an improper multiple dependent claim and contains informalities. Examiner believes the dependency and this claim should be amended in the following manner. The method of, as in claim 1, 2, or 2, 3, wherein the resulting manufactured structures within the 3D jar landscape undergo design and development by adding additional 3D jars to the anchoring 3D jar, thereby increasing production of neighborhoods within the complex landscape of 3D jar. For the purposes of the prior art rejection below, examiner hereby treats Claim 4 as depending from Claim 2 or 3. Appropriate correction is required. Claim rejections, 35 U.S.C. Section 112. The following is a quotation of the first paragraph of 35 U.S.C. 112a. A. In general, the specification shall contain a written description of the invention and of the manner and process of making and using it in such full, clear, concise, and exact terms as to enable any person skilled in the art to which it pertains, or with which it is most nearly connected, to make and use the same, and shall set forth the best mode contemplated by the inventor or joint inventor of carrying out the invention. Claims 2 to 4 are rejected under 35 U.S.C. 112a or 35 U.S.C. 112 Priya, first paragraph, as failing to comply with the enablement requirement. The claims contain subject matter which was not described in the specification in such a way as to enable one skilled in the art to which it pertains, or with which it is most nearly connected, to make and or use the invention. The subject matter recited by Claims 2 to 4 is not enabled by the original specification filed March 3, 2022. The original specification filed March 3, 2022 fails to recite any disclosures concerning the now claimed additive manufacturing and iterative manufacturing. There are likewise no disclosures of any structure or device to perform additive manufacturing, and it is unclear how additive manufacturing and iterative manufacturing can be performed with respect to creating a neighborhood of three-dimensional golden rhombi. Therefore, Claims 2 to 4 are not enabled by the original specification filed March 3, 2022, and do not comply with the enablement requirement. Furthermore, Claims 2 to 4 are rejected under 35 U.S.C. 112a or 35 U.S.C. 112 Priya, first paragraph, as failing to comply with the written description requirement. The claims contain subject matter which was not described in the specification in such a way as to reasonably convey to one skilled in the relevant art that the inventor or a joint inventor, or for application subject to Priya 35 U.S.C. 112, the inventors, at the time the application was filed, had possession of the claimed invention. The subject matter recited by Claims 2 to 4 is unsupported by the original specification filed March 3, 2022. The original specification filed March 3, 2022 fails to recite any disclosures concerning the now claimed additive manufacturing and iterative manufacturing, and likewise fails to disclose any details concerning the now claimed anchoring three-dimensional golden rhombus. Therefore, Claims 2 to 4 recite new matter not described in the original specification filed March 3, 2022, and fails to comply with the written description requirement. Claim rejections, 35 U.S.C. Section 101. 35 U.S.C. 101 reads as follows. Whoever invents or discovers any new and useful process, machine, manufacture, or composition of matter, or any new and useful improvement thereof, may obtain a patent therefor, subject to the conditions and requirements of this title. Claims 2 to 4 are rejected under 35 U.S.C. 101 because the claimed invention is directed to a judicial exception, i.e., an abstract idea, without significant more. In accordance with the 2019 revised patent subject matter eligibility guidance, the examiner is to perform an analysis, Step 1, Step 2A, Prong 1 and Prong 2, and Step 2B, to evaluate whether the claim is drawn from patent-eligible subject matter. Step 1. Evaluate whether the claimed subject matter fails within the 4 statutory categories of patentable subject matter identified by 35 U.S.C. 101, process, machine, manufacture, or composition of matter. In the instant case, Claims 2 to 4 are directed to a method. Consequently, analysis of the claim language recited in Claims 2 to 4 proceeds to the two-step framework previously set forth in Alice/Mayo. Revise Step 2A. Prong 1. Evaluate whether the claim recites a judicial exception. To determine whether a claim recites an abstract idea, examiners are to A. Identify the specific limitations the claims under examination that the examiner believes recites an abstract idea, and B. Determine whether the identified limitations falls within one of the following subject matter groupings of abstract ideas enumerated in Section 1 of the 2019 Revised Patent Subject Matter Eligibility Guidance. A. Mathematical concepts, mathematical relationships, mathematical formulas or equations, mathematical calculations. B. Certain method of organizing human activity, fundamental economic principles or practices, including hedging, insurance, mitigating risk, commercial or legal integration, including agreements in the form of contracts, legal obligations, advertising, marketing or sales activities of behaviors, business relationships, maintaining personal behavior or relationships or interactions between people, including social activities, teaching, and following rules or instructions, and C. Mental processes, concepts performed in the human mind, including an observation, evaluation, judgment, opinion. Claims 2 to 4 are directed to a method of creating structures as an arrangement of three-dimensional golden rhombi. It is well understood that rhombi are geometric shapes and therefore constitute mathematical concepts. In describing various arrangements for forming neighborhoods of rhombi in accordance with mathematical principles, claims 2 to 4 are directed to mathematical relationships in specifying the arrangement of rhombi as geometric shapes. Accordingly, the claim requires further analysis under Prong 2. Revise Step 2A. Prong 2. If the claim recites a judicial exception, evaluate whether the claim recites additional elements that integrate the exception into a practical application of that exception. A claim that integrates a judicial exception into a practical application will apply, rely on, or use the judicial exception in a manner that imposes a meaningful limit on the judicial exception, such that the claim is more than a drafting effort designed to monopolize the judicial exception. With respect to Claims 2 to 4, this claim only recites the additional element of additively and iteratively manufacturing. Step 2B. If the claim is directed to a judicial exception, evaluate whether the claim provides an inventive concept. If a claim has been determined to be directed to a judicial exception under Revised Step 2A, examiners should then evaluate the additional elements individually and in combination under Step 2B to determine whether they provide an inventive concept, i.e., whether the additional elements amount to significantly more than the exception itself. Again, with respect to Claims 2 to 4, this claim only recites the additional element of additively and iteratively manufacturing. The performance of additive and iteratively manufacturing is merely insignificant post-solution activity as an output of the arrangement of rhombi as geometric shapes. Consequently, examiner concludes that Claims 2 to 4 do not recite significantly more than the abstract idea and are ineligible. Claim rejections, 35 U.S.C. Section 103. In the event the determination of the status of the application as subject to AIA 35 U.S.C. 102 and 103, or as subject to PREIA 35 U.S.C. 102 and 103, is incorrect, any correction of the statutory basis, i.e., changing from AIA to PREIA, for the rejection will not be considered a new ground of rejection if the prior art relied upon, and the rationale supporting the rejection would be the same under either status. The following is a quotation of 35 U.S.C. 103, which forms the basis for all obviousness rejections set forth in this office action. A patent for a claimed invention may not be obtained, notwithstanding that the claimed invention is not identically disclosed as set forth in Section 102. If the differences between the claimed invention and the prior art are such that the claimed invention as a whole would have been obvious before the effective filing date of the claimed invention to a person having ordinary skill in the art to which the claimed invention pertains, patentability shall not be negated by the manner in which the invention was made. The factual inquiries for establishing a background for determining obviousness under 35 U.S.C. 103 are summarized as follows. 1. Determining the scope and contents of the prior art. 2. Ascertaining the differences between the prior art and the claims at issue. 3. Resolving the level of ordinary skill in the pertinent art. 4. Considering objective evidence present in the application indicating obviousness or non-obviousness. Claims 2 to 4 are rejected under 35 U.S.C. 103 as being unpatentable over Klein, EP 054-9189A2, in view of Liu et al. U.S. Patent 11,398,074, hereinafter, Liu, Snyder et al. U.S. Patent Application Publication 2016/00826522A1, hereinafter, Snyder, and Muradzoda et al., 3D Aperiodic Guerra Tiles, Bridges 2020 Conference Proceedings, January 2020, pages 35 to 40, hereinafter, Muradzoda. For Claim 2, Klein discloses a method for creating complex structures using manufacturing, disclosing a method of solid modeling to create complex structures using computer-aided manufacture, Figure 4. Kernel 1/lines 57 to 58 and Kernel 2/lines 1 to 10, Kernel 3/lines 6 to 10, and Kernel 7/lines 29 to 46, comprising A. Providing a landscape consisting of three-dimensional geometric object, disclosing the provision of a landscape of a three-dimensional coordinate system with a three-dimensional geometric object. Figure 4. Kernel 7/lines 29 to 46. B. Selecting and anchoring three-dimensional geometric object within the landscape, disclosing activation as a selection of a present voxel 320 as an anchoring three-dimensional geometric object within the landscape. Figure 4. Kernel 7/lines 29 to 46. And C. Interacting an additional three-dimensional geometric object to the anchoring three-dimensional object, wherein the additional three-dimensional geometric object interacts with the anchoring three-dimensional geometric object. Disclosing additional voxels as additional three-dimensional geometric objects are oriented to match a face and interact with the present voxel as the anchoring three-dimensional object to form a neighborhood of three-dimensional geometric objects. Figure 4. Kernel 7/lines 29 to 46. Klein does not disclose addition of three-dimensional geometric objects neighborhoods. However, these limitations are well known in the art as disclosed in Liu. Liu similarly discloses a system and method for modeling a 3D scene with cubes in the form of voxels. Figure 3. Kernel 2/lines 61 to 67 and Kernel 3/lines 1 to 4. Liu explains a model from a voxel may be grown with secondary structures as neighboring groups of voxels to form constellations of neighborhoods for the voxel. Figure 4. Kernel 6/lines 43 to 58. It follows Klein may be accordingly modified with the teachings of Liu to manufacture its structures through addition of three-dimensional geometric objects neighborhoods within its landscape. A person having ordinary skill in the art, Fazada, before the effective filing date of the claimed invention, would find it obvious to modify Klein with the teachings of Liu. Liu is analogous art in dealing with a system and method for modeling a 3D scene with cubes in the form of voxels. Figure 3. Kernel 2/lines 61 to 67 and Kernel 3/lines 1 to 4. Liu discloses its use of voxel groups is advantageous in appropriately modeling objects in 3D scenes. Kernel 6/lines 34 to 58. Consequently, a Fazada would incorporate the teachings of Liu into Klein for appropriately modeling objects in 3D scenes. Klein as modified by Liu does not disclose additive manufacturing and iterative manufacturing of structures. However, these limitations are well known in the art as disclosed in Snyder. Snyder similarly discloses a system and method for manufacturing structures of three-dimensional objects, page 2/par. 35. Snyder explains its system employs additive manufacturing devices to iteratively manufacture structures of three-dimensional geometric objects having a volume, such as cubes, page 2/par. 35 and page 7/par. 94. It follows Klein and may be accordingly modified with the teachings of Snyder to implement additive manufacturing devices and iteratively manufacture structures of three-dimensional geometric objects, three-dimensional geometric objects, neighborhoods in the landscape. A positive before the effective filing date of the claimed invention would find it obvious to modify Klein and agree with the teachings of Snyder. Snyder is analogous art in dealing with the system and method for manufacturing structures of three-dimensional objects. Page 2/par. 35. Snyder discloses its use of additive manufacturing devices are advantageous in suitably manufacturing structures and goods as desired by users. Page 2/par. 35 and page 7/par. 94. Consequently, a FOSITA would incorporate the teachings of Snyder into Klein and Liu for suitably manufacturing structures and goods as desired by users. Klein as modified by Liu and Snyder does not specifically disclose a three-dimensional geometric object as a three-dimensional golden rhombus. However, these limitations are well known in the art as disclosed in Muradzoda. Muradzoda similarly discloses a system and method for generating complex structures of three-dimensional geometric objects by computer-aided design and manufacturing. Page 35/Fig. 1 and page 39. Muradzoda explains the three-dimensional geometric objects forming its complex structures may be three-dimensional golden rhombi, formed 16 cubic lattice. Pages 36-38. It follows Klein, Liu and Snyder may be accordingly modified with the teachings of Muradzoda to implement its three-dimensional geometric objects as three-dimensional golden rhombi in manufacturing its complex structures. A FOSITA before the effective filing date of the claimed invention would find it obvious to modify Klein, Liu and Snyder with the teachings of Muradzoda. Muradzoda is analogous art in dealing with a system and method for generating complex structures of three-dimensional geometric objects by computer-aided design and manufacturing. Page 35/Fig. 1 and page 39. Muradzoda discloses its use of golden rhombi is advantageous in generating complex structures with appropriate self-supporting stellations for improved architectural designs. Page 40. Consequently, a FOSITA would incorporate the teachings of Muradzoda into Klein, Liu and Snyder for generating complex structures with appropriate self-supporting stellations for improved architectural designs. Therefore, Claim 2 is rendered obvious to a FOSITA before the effective filing date of the claimed invention. For Claim 3, depending on Claim 2, Klein as modified by Liu. Snyder and Muradzoda discloses wherein the positioning and orientation of the additional 3D GRs relative to the anchoring 3D GR follow mathematical principles within the 3D GR landscape, resulting in known and unique neighborhoods. Klein discloses additional voxels as additional three-dimensional geometric objects are positioned and oriented to match a face and interact with the present voxel as the anchoring three-dimensional object to form a neighborhood of three-dimensional geometric objects. Figure 4, Kernel 7/lines 29-46. Muradzoda similarly discloses a system and method for generating complex structures of three-dimensional geometric objects by computer-aided design and manufacturing. Page 35/Fig. 1 and page 39. Muradzoda explains the three-dimensional geometric objects forming its complex structures may be three-dimensional golden rhombi that are positioned and oriented to form a 6D cubic lattice in accordance with mathematical principles defined by Penrose type. Patterns to form known and unique neighborhoods of three-dimensional golden rhombi, pages 36-38, and it follows Klein. Liu and Snyder may be accordingly modified with the teachings of Muradzoda to implement its three-dimensional geometric objects as three-dimensional golden rhombi to position and orient the additional three-dimensional golden rhombi to the anchoring three-dimensional golden rhombus to follow mathematical principles within its landscape to generate known and unique neighborhoods. For Claim 4, depending on Claim 2, or 3, Klein as modified by Liu. Snyder and Muradzoda discloses wherein the resulting structures within the 3D GR landscape undergo design and development by adding additional 3D GRs to the anchoring 3D GR, thereby increasing production of neighborhoods within the complex landscape of 3D GR. Klein discloses additional voxels as additional three-dimensional geometric objects are positioned and oriented to match a face and interact with the present voxel as the anchoring three-dimensional object to form a neighborhood of three-dimensional geometric objects. Figure 4, Kernel 7/lines 29 to 46. Liu similarly discloses a system and method for modeling a 3D scene with cubes in the form of voxels. Figure 3, Kernel 2/lines 61 to 67 and Kernel 3/lines 1 to 4. Liu explains a model from a voxel may be grown with secondary structures as additional neighboring groups of voxels to form constellations of neighborhoods for the voxel. Figure 4, Kernel 6/lines 43 to 58. And it follows Klein may be accordingly modified with the teachings of Liu to manufacture its structures through additional three-dimensional geometric objects to increase production of neighborhoods within its landscape. Muradzoda similarly discloses a system and method for generating complex structures of three-dimensional geometric objects by computer-aided design and manufacturing. Page 35/Fig. 1 and page 39. Muradzoda explains the three-dimensional geometric objects forming its complex structures may be three-dimensional golden rhombi that are positioned and oriented to form a 6D cubic lattice in accordance with mathematical principles defined by Penrose-type patterns to form known and unique neighborhoods of three-dimensional golden rhombi. Pages 36 to 38. And it follows Klein, Liu, and Snyder may be accordingly modified with the teachings of Muradzoda to implement its three-dimensional geometric objects as three-dimensional golden rhombi to position and orient the additional three-dimensional golden rhombi to the anchoring three-dimensional golden rhombus to follow mathematical principles within its landscape to increase production of neighborhoods within its landscape of three-dimensional golden rhombi. Conclusion. Applicant's amendment necessitated the new grounds of rejection presented in this office action. Accordingly, this action is made final. CMPP Section 706.07a. Applicant is reminded of the extension of time policy as set forth in 37 CFR 1.136a. A shortened statutory period for reply to this final action is set to expire 3 months from the mailing date of this action. In the event a first reply is filed within 2 months of the mailing date of this final action and the advisory action is not mailed until after the end of the 3-month shortened statutory period, then the shortened statutory period will expire on the date the advisory action is mailed, and any extension fee pursuant to 37 CFR 1.136a will be calculated from the mailing date of the advisory action. In no event, however, will the statutory period for reply expire later than 6 months from the date of this final action. This action is a final rejection and closes the prosecution of this application. Applicant's reply under 37 CFR 1.113 to this action is limited to an appeal to the Patent Trial and Appeal Board, an amendment complying with the requirements set forth below, or a request for continued examination. RC. To reopen prosecution where permitted. Please note that the office also offers initiatives that are available to applicants after the close of prosecution. See for more information. General information on the Patent Trial and Appeal Board is available at www.uspeeded.gov/patents/patent-trial-and-about-pdab/new-pdab. The information at this page includes guidance on time-limited options that may assist the applicant contemplating